We're with Frankie and Jamie, and guys, Oilers D-man Evan Bouchard is on pace for 94 points. He's third in Norris Trophy odds on FanDuel, behind only Cale Makar and Zach Werenski. So, Frankie, would you say Bouchard is underrated for how high those point totals are, or is he overrated for being listed ahead of guys like Quinn Hughes?
All right, Sarah, I'm taking a page out of the quizzes book here, and I'm going off the board and saying that Evan Bouchard is appropriately rated for what he is. He is an unbelievably talented offensive defenseman, on pace for 94 points, a guy who can be so lethal on the power play, has a bomb of a shot, but has some defensive warts to his game that ultimately are indicative of the kind of defensive deficiencies the Edmonton Oilers have. Like, he embodies some of that in what he does. I will say this, after a slower start to the season, away from the puck and some of the decision making and some big lapses in judgment, he has really cleaned up his game. But if we're talking about the Norris Trophy, he's appropriately rated, being the third favorite in where, a trophy that is largely getting consideration for guys that are offensive guys. We don't see guys like Jacob Slavin in Norris conversations. Why? Because points are sexy, and points is what get you this kind of trophy. So for me, Evan Bouchard, he's appropriately rated. I can't say that he's overrated. I can't say that he's underrated. Jamie, I don't know if you see it any different.
I actually see it exactly the same. But here's what I'll say, Frankie. The only reason I would slide underrated a little bit is because we're always focused on what he's not. So you just laid out what amazing capabilities he has. Offensively, he's as good as anybody in the National Hockey League. And I'm talking forwards as well. This is a guy who has elite vision. He's got a great first pass. Ask Connor McDavid, who he gets those passes in flight all the time. And he's got a bomb of a shot close to 100 miles an hour. And yes, he has defensive blunders. And that's what we focus on all the time, because there is those grade A chances he gives up every game. And you're going, there it is. We were just waiting for it. And eventually it reared its ugly head. But what I mean from a defensive standpoint, if you look at him and his partner, Matthias Ekholm, they're one of the best partnerships in the National Hockey League when they're playing to their capabilities. So what we do all the time, and I'm guilty of this as well, is we're pointing out the one critical error, the two critical errors in a game instead of the 10 to 15 great plays that he makes. That's a challenge when it comes to Evan Bouchard, is he's so polarizing, because the people that are negative on him, they certainly can point to one or two things a game and say, see, I told you so. The people who love him can point to 10 or 12 things during a game and say, see, that's what you're dealing with. I like to think about it. If he made Team Canada and if he was on the ice in overtime and he pinched down like Makar did, we'd never hear the end of it. So at the end of the day, the best players on the planet make mistakes. There's no perfect player out there. Evan Bouchard falls under that umbrella.
They're all human at the end of the day. Well, let's go big picture here now. The Oilers face the Avs tonight, the Stars on Thursday. Frankie, how important are these two games when it comes to Edmonton proving they belong in the conversation with the top teams in the West?
It's important to show that you have the right process. And keep in mind, this is not something that is new to the Edmonton Oilers. Having been to 2 consecutive Stanley Cup finals, they understand what it takes to beat a good defensive team, heavy team like Vegas, a really deep team like the Dallas Stars. They know how to do it. It's largely the same cast of characters. It's just about executing it. That's been the situation for the Edmonton Oilers all season long. How do you mitigate your mistakes to the point where you can still have your offensive production, but just play a winning brand of hockey? So for me, yes, the result is important for sure. I want to see the Edmonton Oilers show the same process that they had when they were knocking off really good teams en route to a Stanley Cup final. That will tell us a lot. If they can find that, then they can find it down the stretch run and into the playoffs.
And Frankie, that's the key, though. They haven't played consistent hockey. They've outscored their issues. That's the really. And then everybody can point to their defensive play and their goaltending, and rightfully so. I'm not singling out anybody, but they have been a train wreck in their own zone. And 5 men in front of the goaltender, and then the goaltender not delivering the saves at the right time. They played really well against Vegas the other night in a really tough game on the road. Now it's going to be another level, because Colorado is another level. That is the gold standard in the National Hockey League right now. On the road in a tough building, can you hold up? Let's not forget what Colorado did to them earlier in the season, put up a 9 spot in Edmonton. So all of these things have to factor in. It's a great litmus test. I don't think the Oilers are as good as Colorado right now, but we'll see if they can hold up defensively and then let their talent take care of the offensive and go after Colorado on the road tonight.
Yeah, on the road, the Oilers have only 15 wins in 33 games away from home this year. So that's certainly something to keep in mind as well.